Okay, so I think we are ready to continue for today. I like to be sharp on the schedule, and I really hope that we will finish in 30 minutes because impact-driven implementation framework and indicator is such a waste space. We really need to look into very detailed, but I try to explain as much as possible in 30 minutes. And maybe we can discuss later how we can proceed from that. So today I'm generally want to try to answer what is implementation framework. This is very important, and how to calculate indicators. Probably those two things is very difficult for a lot of people. So what I intend today is to explain what I'm doing. I don't say that this is the only or the proper way, but I can see from my results when I start to calculate indicators, instead of just try to imagine them, was much easier to develop the application and get the project as well. So our starting point here is definitely following the previous steps. We said that idea needs to be fundable, innovative, easy to describe, and now we will try to figure it out what is the potential for the impact. So how to design the thing that will be potentially very impactful, and this is very important for your application because, as you know, at the end of the application you need to know what is the impact of your project. So you need to have some basis for that to say. You cannot just say, oh, okay, this project is very good, we will have national level, international level impact. But if this is not supported with the evidences from your application, this is not something to be well endorsed. So again, I will start with some basic, just because I really see that this is important. So for the people who started to prepare the project at the beginning, when you open the application, you see a lot of different things to describe. You know, we need to describe what is the problem, consequences, what is the evidence, what the analysis, the results, impact. And if you really want to try to figure it out what the projects look like, you need to put into the structure. So I designed structure probably over the 10 years, last 10 years, and I need to find old version because this structure really started to be, you know, fifth or sixth probably version of everything. So in this webinar, we will go into this implementation strategy. As I said, at the beginning, we need to define the problem, causes and consequences, and we need to have evidences for that problem. We need to do analysis proper. Then we define the target group, who is affected, and what needs they have. Based on that, we will define the approach. We define the innovation with, you know, problem tree or solution tree or bridging or using the good practice. And now we are in the point in the development of idea to need to say how we will do that. What will be our implementation strategy? Because it is also very important, because impact is based on the implementation strategy. You cannot have the good impact without good implementation strategy. So what different implementation strategies are? If you go and check eGuide, you will see that importance of the implementation strategy is very important. You will get 25 out of 100 points for the good quality design of the implementation and methodology to implement it. And what is very important, at least you need to have 12.5 points if you want that your project will be approved. You can have all those points available, but less than 12 points here and you will be out of the funds. So this is very important. So what is the science behind this implementation? If you really try to understand this project, you will see that theory of change is the science model behind implementation. And what does that mean? If you will try to study theory of change, this is the really big matter, because this theory try to figure it out what will be consequences if we will change something. So here is one example. You can find it on the internet. This is on. So what I expect here is that, for example, if we have a problem that we are always late to work, we try to figure it first what was the causes. So probably traffic, or leaving the house late, or waking up late, or we can decide. And if we can go further, we can find the root causes for that. Going to bed late, or staying late, watching Netflix, or so on. So this is theory of change, is called causal pathway. But if you follow me until now, you already have this theory of change in our base model, because we already checked this. This is generally problem 3. If you remember the kids' obesity example, we constantly try to go back with that. We said the reasons for the kids' obesity maybe can be, this is just one of the representation, parents too busy, not enough sports, too much time in front of the TV, or too much food. This caused the kids' obesity. And the consequences for that are bad remarks from other people, from peers, illness, probably negative self-image, bullying. So this is all the problem. So based on that model, we start to figure it out what is our project will be. But to understand it and to compare, you can find that this theory of change is practically here. As we said, here we have a problem. Problem is kids' obesity. We found the causes. We found these 4 causes in our brainstorming. So what I want to say here, maybe I didn't say that before, but that examples could be also level and levels and levels. So you can go further levels. For example, parents too busy, demanding work schedule. You can find a lot of different wise parents too busy. Or too much food, addiction to sugar, not aware what food should eat. You need to eat attitude, you know, especially mamas are like this, you know, you didn't eat that, you need to eat, you need to eat, you need to eat. And finally kids are eating too much. And sometimes you really don't want to hear that, but a lot of kids' obesity is based on how parents is reacting. They are role models. They are, you know, kids looking at that. So this is how you can do. Of course, now we can try to figure it out what it will be causes for addiction to sugar. So you can go as many levels as you want. So, and based on that, you will prepare your idea. For example, if you know that you need to eat attitude is bad, and if you will change that, the complete system, the complete will change. Kids will not have too much food attitude, and kids' obesity is less likely to be present. And the same is here in theory of change. So this theory of change and causal pathways, we already have implemented in our system. So if you followed me until now, you don't need to study nothing else. But I would still say, try to find basic information about theory of change, because this is something to expand your knowledge on. So what is the understanding of this implementation? So as we said, when we found affected target group and we found a needs analysis, we generally prepare the results, products and activities with the partnership, and this is the part of implementation strategy. So now we already have the results, we have intellectual outputs, and we know what activities we need to do, we know what learning, teaching, trainings we want to have, what mobilities we will have. So now we will need to put everything into the implementation strategy. So how we will get this target group and how we will fulfill the needs of the target group. This is very important. This I will be talking about many times again, because this back loop is very important. If we have a needs analysis, we need to really figure it out how this will fulfill it. Okay, so in our situation, how is current situation, what is improved situation of Erasmus Plus project, we are now here. At the beginning, we defined why this problem, who is affected, and we discussed this. We know how to do it, what is the problem, and now we are talking about how to do it, how we will solve this. So we already talked about the innovation before, and I need to tell again, the innovation is fundamental for the implementation. If you will not have good innovation, you will struggle how you will implement that. And that's why I said it's very important. The bridging model is one of the most easiest way how to connect final recipient's needs and final recipient wants, and this is already in the implementation. So this is how we did in one of our examples before, how we will solve the kids' obesity. We named what we can do here with what final recipients want. So we selected here, they like to gather points, they like to gather budget and rewards, and we connect this with more physical exercise we need, and with the goal setting and the self-discipline. So from that point, we generally see what we need to do. We see the results, so probably we need to have some kind of results which will gather points. So this will be a good method, so like gamification of the education. They will get the budget, and we will try to do with that more physical exercise. So probably results will be the phone application, where you will goal set what you want to do, and then you will gather points and you will do more physical exercise. So this was, and this already approved the project, and this is real example how you can do it. So how we will then do the implementation? What is really implementation models? Sometimes is really difficult to understand how you will do this next steps. But what I suggest here is that when you will define the intellectual outputs and the activities, you really know for who is that. So for example, in this example, we have affected target groups are teachers, and this activity needs to yield with one result. So we will have instructional outline when we prepare the training outline, and then we will define the training program and so on. So when we will have all this done, we try to figure it out what will be steps to do that. So now the implementation really starts. So everything until now was just based to understand what we will do. So the same is for final recipients. For those who was first time here, the final recipients are, in our case, obese kids are kids in the classroom. The other target group is the teachers, because they will need to deploy our results to them. So we have two different target groups just because of that. So different target groups, different results, and different activities. This is very important. So what are the implementation models? So for example, classic implementation model is you need to have at least 3 different countries. For example, we have now 4 partners here. And of course, we need to implement our results in every country. How we will do that? So normally, you need to try to find who will implement your results. For example, for our obese kids, we select that in every country, we will select 3 schools, which will cooperate with us, will test our results, or have some kind of other activities implemented in the school. So we said this is the beginning of the framework. Then we can say, okay, in every school we can have 2 teachers. Normally we have education for the whole school, but then we select 1, 2, 3 number of teachers who really want to implement that, using the survey, using the different techniques to really try to figure it out which teachers are interested in the topic to implement that. So for example, we will say in this that we will have in every school we have at least 2 teachers. And every teacher will have, for example, in our 12 students. So let's say, depending on your project, these students can be in extracurriculum activities. This could be in normal school, could be, you know, in different models of education. So based on your project, you need to figure it out how many real examples could be. And also it is very important, for example, maybe sometimes in one country this is easy to accept, in other countries is very, very difficult. For example, I found very difficult to work with schools in Germany because there you really need to have a approved project 6 months to 1 year before you start to implement. And sometimes this is very difficult to do. So if you start your project, you practically in the same moment, you need to try to find the school who will implement your results. Let's say that we will need the 12 months for developing to the results, so you will have ready schools for the implementation. For other countries, this is much easier. So you need to figure it out at the beginning, how we'll do an implementation based on who is in your project. Sometimes it's much easier to work with, for example, in the youth project with the youth centers. They are more flexible, quicker you come to there, and so on. So you create, this is the classic implementation model. And when you will develop this framework, it's time to calculate your indicators. So instead of just saying we will have 100 students and 25 teachers and 50 schools, you need to have a base for that calculation. So how can I do that? So from that example, it's much easier. So if you will have something like this, you can say, yes, this is 4 countries. We have 4 countries, so this is the base. Then in these 4 countries, we will select 3 schools. So that means 12 schools. In every school, we will have 2 teachers. So that means those 12 schools, 2 teachers, we will have completely 24 teachers for the complete project. And if we will have 24 teachers, and every teacher will have 12 students, we will have 288 students involved. So this is the easiest model to calculate your indicators, and these indicators are real examples. These indicators have a background. So when you will describe this in text, it's much easier to describe it than just said, you know, 100 teachers. So this is the first way how to do that. Okay, but what I suggest is another implementation model. And this model is a country project promoters. This is my innovation, and I really need to say that it yields a lot of great success. Country promoters are nothing else than just people who really want to promote your project. They are interested in the topic and they will help you in the implementation. So instead to go directly to the schools, you will educate 1, 2, 3 country promoters. I figured it out that 1 country promoter is not enough, and 2 is good because they can communicate, they can work together and so on. And they are not related to any schools. So schools are still related to us, to the country, but country promoters are part of our partnership, which we should say. So the still schools, the still teachers and the still students, but we will add 4 countries and 2 country promoters. We will educate 8 country promoters more. What does that mean? So we will have additional group of people who will help us to implement the project, and they are interested in the project. As you now know, because there is a lot of different projects, and we are not so interested in the projects anymore. You really need to find someone who is interested in your topic. So 2 country promoters from the country is very important now. So what's the reason for country promoters? I really found that way is easier to access the potential recipients. For example, if they are teachers really on the topics of kids obesity, they know the schools around, they know who is responsible for something like that. They will pull the strings and make this project really go very smoothly. So they have easy access to this. So this is additional educated stuff. So we will add also to the indicators, and our project will be much better because of that, because we will involve another people, another level of people. There are also external evaluation of the prepared results. Instead of preparing your results and go without the results to the pilot implementation, they will check your results first. I will show you how later. And this is very good for your evaluation process. So that way you will have external evaluation along with your internal evaluation of the results. So this is also very good points also later for the description how you will do the good results. They are also partially responsible for the implementation. You cannot say that they are responsible because this is all your responsibility, but you can have the really good connection with them, and they will definitely do the trainings, they will do implementation, monitoring, feedbacks, and so on. So this is very important for them. Also, sometimes they will answer the question for the target group. Instead, all those teachers will bother you, they will call them because they know them, they also know your results, and they will do very quickly the response. So this is much better. But the best way here is not just better impact, sustainability. Sustainability is very, very difficult to explain, and you need to have really proven indicators for sustainability, and that is very good example how to promote the sustainability of the project, because those country promoters will know everything about the project, and if you will put their names on the project website, everybody will call them, and they, even after the project end, they will still connect with them, and you will have very good, you know, support for your results after the project ends. So this is very good idea how to use your project. So how we put the country promoters into the project? Of course, we need to educate them first. So when the partnership have also the results, we need to first educate country promoters. So we will have, for example, 12 country promoters or whatever, how many you will have. In any case, the best way it is that we will create LTT event, learning, teaching, training event, where those country promoters will come, check the results, and give you the feedback. So this will be first loop for the quality assurance. And of course, you can then update the results, and then we will go to the implementation activities, and then also means this will be very good sustainability for that. So first step in every implementation would be education of the country promoters. So here is one real example of the PERT diagram and implementation model, because people asking me how you really use the PERT diagram and how you do. And one group combined the PERT diagram and implementation model in one sketch, and that was really awesome. So this is the part of the PERT diagram, and also what we will do here. And here is also the implementation. Say per country we'll have 2 youth centers. Per every youth center we have 1 youth worker, and for every youth worker we will have 10 NEET students, so that will say 40 NEET students. So we have also the indicators on the same model. So as I said, it is not necessary to have a lot of papers to explain your project. If you have one picture like that, you can have it for the kickoff meeting and along for the complete project. So because generally you have all the information here. And this is a very good example. Get it and go to the kickoff meeting then with that. Because after the 1 year, after the development of the project, you will figure it out that you don't know anything about it. If you don't have the PERT diagram, if you don't have implementation model, describe it this way, what you will do, you will read your own application from the beginning and start to write like something like that. So this is double work. So do the PERT diagram and do the implementation model before, and then start to do the calculations. So calculating indicators at the beginning means not just this calculation. And I need to say that indicators, yes, that are your contract with national agency. Because national agency will generally first go over your indicators and try to figure it out if your project fulfill all the indicators. So if there is no indicators set properly, you cannot fulfill them. And if you cannot fulfill them, you cannot also, you cannot track them as well. So this is connected. So indicators are pillars for your contract with national agency. So models for indicators means what is the relations to the different phases of the project or of the group of the indicators here. So we can say we have indicator per project. Let's say we will have indicators, we will do the 5 press conferences per project. Or we can say per month, 300 downloaded guides per month. Or we can say 2 country promoters per country. Or we will have 5 trainings per partner. or we'll have school or youth center. This could be institutions, and we can say per institution that number of training or that number of participants, or per educator. So these indicators could be on the different models. So then how you can go to calculate them normally is quite difficult. So it's funny to say, but I needed approximately 10 years to develop this one tiny little table. And this table practically now helped me to organize everything, because now you can see, you can make a screenshot. Now it will be much easier to work with, because if you say that you have project duration for the 24 months, here are the models. So let's say, we can say 200 downloads of the training per project. And we can say number of visits of the website, 100 per month. And if we know how many months, we can calculate, and this could be very easy. So here is 2,400 because we have 24 months and 100 downloads. So if we say we have 4 countries, and if we will include 4 countries, we will have totally 16 schools in all countries. We'll have 2 country promoters per country. We will have 8 together. So now it's very open and very easy to calculate it. It's not very difficult anymore. So we can also say it, we will have 15 teachers per school and 30 students per school. If we all together will result with this number. So instead of try to figure it out in your head, how many results or events we'll have per project as an indicator, you can do this very easy in one little table. I really need to say that I needed 10 years to develop this, and now it's much easier for you to work with. So, for example, one of the important stuff is how then I use those indicator table. So if you follow how it's doing, that on the right side is a G Drive document, and I have copied whatever we have in the E form in the G Drive, and one of those is also indicator. So this is on the spreadsheet. And and these 2 spreadsheets and that document are linked. You can see here, they're linked. So whenever I will find in my application that one of the indicator is off, for example, too much downloads or something, I go here back to the indicators, change the indicators, which will result in different indicators, and this will automatically change in my G Drive file. So that means I will change it in one place, and here it will automatically change whatever they will need to change here. And that is also a very good example of theory of change. You need to figure it out what the results will do if something will be changed, so you can design your process the way that you will get the proper result based on the activities in your process. So this is one of the examples how I do it from one place. So then I can, very easy to explain. So even when I have few of our partners who is doing internal evaluation, and if they are not part of the application process when defining the indicators, they can still go there, they can still check everything, and if I change something, is the same moment here in that table. And this is then much easier to work with. So in generally, what I need to say again is, promise what you can deliver. Don't promise something you cannot deliver. Why you cannot deliver sometimes? Because you promised too much, because your indicators was too high, because you didn't calculate them. You just try to figure it out how you'll do it, and you fancy big numbers there. You know, 100 schools, 500 students. But then when you try to implement that project, this is too difficult to do. Again, this is also the problem when you go and give your project to develop to someone else. Someone else, the easiest way to get your project approved is to really give the big numbers in the implementation. But then you will need to deliver that. And this is the problem. So promise what you can deliver and then over deliver. What does that mean? Try to figure it out. If you will say that you will get 10 teachers per school, try to get them maybe 15. There are two reasons for that. Because people sometimes stop to work, they will not work anymore, they're going, they're changing, they're ill, you know, and then at the end of, instead of 15 people, you will get 8 people, and you will be below your threshold for your for indicators, which will mean that you will not deliver what you said that you will deliver. So go always with higher numbers to really assure that the numbers will be at the end as you promised. So over deliver, get the feedbacks from them, and this will be the best way how you ensure that your project will be evaluated very good to the final evaluation procedure. So in generally, that was how I'm doing calculation of the indicators. So again, do your work from the beginning to end. As I said, first definition of the problem, then you try to figure it out who is the responsible for that. So you find your target group, and then based on that needs of the target group, you will define the results. Based on the results, you'll try to find how you'll do it, the innovation. Here was the implementation. Then just what we still need is the impact and the sustainability. So this is generally how you need to proceed with your project. And this is still, I need to say, I need to really try to find this idea very important. This is still preparation for the project. This is not writing for the project. So normally I'm doing for maybe 10 days the preparation, and then I write the project in 2, 3, 4 days. So this is normal how you should do it, because in that preparation time you will know everything about the project, you will figure it out how to do it, and then you just need to pour this idea on the text. So this is for the today.